Hello and welcome to Console Shock episode 41, retro and modern gaming chat with Trev and Stu. How's it going, Stu?
Yeah, it's going really well.
So, something you might not have noticed, Stu, but we've actually hit 100 subscribers.
Oh, wow. On YouTube, that's brilliant.
Can you believe that?
No, that's pretty good. And we're getting actually some pretty high numbers now on the iTunes as well, because I think you manage the YouTube and I sort of manage the getting the podcast on iTunes and all of those.
We're a bit better at that now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got a Twitter.
And we've got a Twitter now. I'm
Console Shock UK.
Console Shock UK. There you go. So it's normally me just doing it, but yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. Someone's already called Console Shock.
Really?
Yeah.
That isn't us, obviously.
No.
Oh, that's weird.
So,
maybe we set one up yonks ago and forgot about it or something. This is actually different.
I should. Do you know what? I thought, someone's already got Console Shock, but I never looked into what they did or anything like that.
I recall us setting one up like in 2013, amazingly, when you think about it, when we actually first started doing this. So.
Oh well, if we can find that one, we can have the new Twitter next week, where it's Console Shock.
Indeed.
Well, in fact, what you should do is follow Console Shock, whoever that might be, and then follow Console Shock UK, which is us.
Get all your Console Shocks in one then.
Yeah. I've got no idea who these other guys could possibly be, but
pretenders. Anyway, there is actually a bit of news from you, really, Stu, isn't it? Because you've moved on from your shop.
I have, yes. It's a good thing, guys. Don't think there's anything sort of bad about it, but
you voluntarily did it, yeah. You're not being.
Yeah. I've been doing it for 10 years, and it's just a little bit like, I've got to go down there, and I've got my other job Monday to Friday, and I just want my weekends back.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I don't think people have that sort of context. You actually work for a sort of 40-hour plus, a week job already.
Exactly, yeah.
Work in the shop over the weekend.
And then did the shop on a Saturday. So actually having the whole weekend back is almost sort of like priceless to me.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get more content out now because I've got a little bit more spare time.
We're a bit more in sync now, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And me and my girlfriend, if you want to go away, we've got a bit more freedom, and I haven't got to say, what about the shop and what about this, what about that.
Yeah.
So I can, just get back into, enjoy myself on the weekends. Yeah. And
they've also moved, haven't they, Playnation Games?
Yeah, Playnation Games have moved to Heart of Gaming in the Whitgift Centre above Console Shock, above Costa Coffee.
So is that actually like a concession in there? Is it like, because it was got kind of a big hall sort of thing, isn't it? That Heart of Gaming has, is it
basically the way I understand it, and I haven't been involved too much in the sort of the move and where things are going, but as you go into Heart of Gaming, on the left and the right, before you go up the stairs, it's sort of like an empty space there. So that's where the shop's going to be. So right at the front. So I think you'll still have to pay to go into Heart of Gaming. But you can certainly just come into Playnation Games and, buy and sell your games as you would have done before.
Cool. Well, there you go. Now you've got two of the best retro gaming things in London and now next to each other. So
exactly.
But talking of shops, we actually have video game related shops. We have a guest on today. It's been a few episodes since we've had one, but we're big fans of his channel. Recently, he's sort of done, I would say, almost like an exposed, exposed, as
exposed,
the USA would say, of CEX and their delightful policy of reproducing covers for things. Seems to be mostly DS and like sort of PS3 and Xbox, and actually, if there's a retro console that you can put an inlay in, it's that as well. So nothing is safe. Which is not very nice when you collect games like we do, all of us, in fact. So I'd like to welcome onto the show Matt from Pomelo Pictures. How's it going, Matt?
Oh yeah, how's it going? Yeah, good. I'm all right. I'm just I'm melting in my little studio here, but thank God we're not doing video, because if I had the lights on, you'd see my horrible sweaty face at the moment.
We would look a bit clammy, I think, all of us. No one wants a clammy console shop.
Stuck to my chair at the moment, I think. But
we'll peel ourselves off in another half an hour or so, which would be horrible. Hope that won't capture on the microphone, but anyway. So, yeah, I mean, your channel's sort of come to prominence because you've kind of collaborated with the Top Hat Gaming Man, who we've mentioned a few times on our channel. And that's kind of because you did this investigation of the wonderful shop that Stuart was very familiar with competing with. Just down the road for him. There were two of them in Croydon, weren't they? Until recently,
at one point, yeah, but just the one now.
Surrounded on all sides at one point. But yeah, their lovely thing of like reprinting labels. In fact, but before we'll get into that, obviously your channels covers other things as well.
Yeah.
So how did you start off on YouTube? What was it that sort of inspired you, that got you going?
Well, video's kind of been my profession. I used to work for Top Gear at one point.
Oh wow!
And then I went to go work for Sega. And then I kind of went freelance for a bit, and just something to sort of do as a hobby, but to also explore some of my interests that I never got to do when I was younger or got to do professionally. I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to start doing some YouTube stuff. I started doing some motorbike reviews, and then I started doing, exploring some Game Boy games that I always wanted as a kid and I never had, that were dirt cheap that I could pick up. And then it kind of went from there. And, I sort of branched out into more sort of general retro stuff. I'm a kid of the 90s, so I loved things like Power Rangers. And I always wondered what the difference was between Power Rangers and the Super Sentai. And there were no videos on YouTube that really explored it.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, they touched the surface of it, and then they'd get 200,000 views. And I thought, wow, I could do that. I could do it better than that, in fact. And then I realized why no one was doing it, and it's because each series there's like 100 episodes between the two, and a couple of movies as well. And it's like
research. You think, oh my god, what have I done?
It's like, oh, that's why nobody's making those videos. It's because, and then you do it, and because it's so in depth, it's only going to appeal to the more hardcore fans. It's like, okay, I get it now. But my channel's not to become YouTube famous. It's just to enjoy the things that I enjoy, if that makes sense.
I've got a similar situation where me and Stu have talked about it a few times, to do something that again isn't on. We haven't seen it elsewhere, but it's to do a retrospective on Konami football games. Going all the way back to the first one on the Famicom disc system, which was called Exciting Soccer, which is a horrendous name for a football game.
Well, I was going to do something similar this year. Because I've got not that a lot of them are any good because they're rushed out, but I've got all the World Cup games, and I thought, I might do that. But where I actually live at the moment, I've only lived here for a couple of years, and there's not a lot of people I know around here. So getting somebody into the studio to actually do a let's play together, difficult. But hopefully this summer I'm going to do something similar. The World Cup's gone now, but I'm going to do it with 90s and 2000s wrestling games. So
cool.
God knows, I mean, got maybe nearly 20 games, and I've got the replica belts from each WCW, WWF, ECW. So we're going to try and do a series of Let's Plays on that.
We should have got you on a few weeks ago. We did a WWF and WCW episode with Adam Pearson. So yeah,
he might be more knowledgeable than I am. But we're gonna give it a go, and we're probably going to be awful. But it doesn't matter, because if we're both awful, we'll kind of balance each other out.
Cool. Well, that's there's plenty to talk about when it comes to that, any kind of sports game. But the thing we found with the Konami football games is, or the thing I found when I was actually trying to put together a timeline, when you get to the 90s, they just pumped out so many. I mean, in the UK, we got one game each year, but in Japan, especially in the PS1 era, often that one game is actually 3 games.
Oh,
they get a J League. They get this winning 11. They'd get just a winning 11 game, which is like national teams. They'd get a J League winning 11, which is their national league, like our Premier League.
Yeah,
there'd be that, and then they'd get like a port of the International Superstar Soccer that we got, but with the extra bits that we got. They would get their own version of that, like Final Edition, it would be called, or something. So you got to mention all of these, including the one that we got, the International Superstar Soccer. So there's 4 games a year at one point. And it was just ridiculous. And then you've got the fact that they branch off in the mid 90s to the N64 ISS games, which are the actual descendants of the SNES game, the original game, and there's the PlayStation games, which are actually what the current Pro Evolution Soccer games are descended from. So you've got to cover that, and it would take it'd be a Kim Justice style 3-hour thing.
God, if that's how many football games they've got, I'd hate to see how many baseball games they've got. I didn't realise football was that big in Japan. I thought baseball was more their sport.
I think they're about level now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 90s is when they got their league, their J League, their first professional league. They didn't really have one before then, but yeah, it's exploded since then. But yeah, we're going to try and do a kind of a version of that history of Konami football games at some point. It's the only game they make now, weird, scarily enough. Don't get any Castlevanias or, apart from weird pachinko, like one-arm bandit things. Yeah. Even DDR. It's tragic, isn't it? They're a shadow of themselves. But yeah, so you said you work for Sega. I mean, obviously we think of that as, is it literally like you walk in and it's kind of like the Green Hill Zone? It's like, like Willy Wonka. Well, it's just corporate, right?
well, actually, no. I mean, it is sort of literally like the Green Hill Zone, because if you walk into the reception, there is a giant, it's probably about 6.5 foot Sonic statue, and then the corridor from, the sort of section of the office immediately next to reception is Sonic Team.
Is this in London, in Brentford?
It is in Brentford, yeah.
Oh, you see it when you go past on the
yeah. Middle of nowhere. Just there's highlights around it is the motorway, and the construction site for Brentford Football Club.
Yeah.
But then when you walk along the corridor to where all the other desks are, it's literally Green Hill Zone plastered on the wall. So,
wow, that's really cool.
It's quite funny because I've mentioned to Trev before. My girlfriend works for PlayStation, and she really doesn't know much about computer games. It's not really any sort of interest in it. And so I always ask her, have you seen about the VR that came out today? Is everyone talking about it? And she'll go, what are you talking about? No, I haven't heard anything.
Is that Xbox thing?
Yeah, and it's talking about your office. I'm boring stories of office stories, but she keeps on messaging me going, the building's run out of water again. You can't get any water out the taps or anything, and it's right in the middle of London. Crazy.
Wow.
Well, it's definitely the opposite. I'd say. Everyone on there. One sort of it's over 2 floors. The lower floor is where QA is, and then on the upper floor is sort of where corporate is. But on the lower floor, as soon as lunchtime hits, everyone's out there for Smash tournaments and things.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And then on the corporate floor, there's a South African guy who sort of has made it his baby to run like a retro library. So if you go onto the internal system when you work in the Sega office, there is a library of games on there that you can rent out, and there's sort of a little section where it's got pretty much every console you can. Well, not I say every console. Not sort of the 70s Pong machines, but for sort of Atari 2600 upwards, there's pretty much everything there.
This is at Sega. There's like a room. It's got all this. Wow.
Well, it's not really a room. It's just sort of it's sort of in the middle of the office.
Wow.
So
wow.
If you want
to see CRTs all set up, or has it got a nice little?
A few CRTs. So, and also it's got all the all the experimental stuff as well. So if you could have on one side of the little player, you could have somebody trying out the latest PlayStation VR game, and on the other side of the room, you could have somebody playing Master System or something.
That's cool.
And that was basically lunchtime. You'd go off and you'd play something at lunch because there's nothing around the office, so you need something to.
That's wicked. Actually, Stu, with your girlfriend working at Sony, we should get her on and do an expose, because I think that Sony.
They will put into a sort of a temporary office. Actually, the main one is quite good actually, and they've got a little sort of bar area on a Friday night. I've been in there a few times, and there are loads of people sort of playing ping pong and.
Well, I think that is an uncharted subject.
Pretty good.
That's an uncharted subject.
An uncharted subject.
Made a reference to Sony.
Yeah, we got it.
You like that? Jokes keep rolling off of it. So what was it you did at Sega then, mainly when you were there, Matt? a variety of things, or did you focus on one particular thing?
Well, I mean, I was brought on to do community management on a new IP, but generally, I kind of sat across a lot of different digital aspects of it. So, when I came on, I was doing stuff to do with Motorsport Manager, and the game was due to launch around April time, but it got pushed back about 8 months or so. So at that point, it's kind of like, well, we spent most of the marketing budget, and the game's not ready. So we're going to have to come up with content to keep people happy, but it's got to be good quality content. So my job was predominantly coming up with content that we could produce that was of good quality, but wasn't going to cost a lot. So we did interviews with the developers and sort of playthroughs, and then we'd go do some things with YouTubers at Silverstone, and I'd travel to things like PAX in Seattle, presenting the game on stage. But then it's quite a small team, so a lot of the time you have to sort of wear lots of different hats. So at some point I would have to be putting on a Sonic t-shirt, and I'd be showing Sonic Mania on stage with the guy that does the Sonic Twitter. So it's sort of it's kind of like you just sort of brought on to do whatever is needed. And I don't think it actually went anywhere, but we were looking at a few different motorsport games. So I sort of became, because I was a racing driver at one point as well, so I kind of became the sort of racing consultant, as it were, on some projects that probably never came to be. But they may still happen, but I'm not there anymore, so I wouldn't really know.
Did you ever get to meet Yuji Naka or Yu Suzuki or any of those legends at Sega?
No. I tell you what, when the guys came over from Japan, they'd go off, because it's a very Japanese custom to give gifts. But it's very difficult to bring stuff over because they like to give quite good big gifts. So a lot of the time they would come over, and then they'd go get the gifts in the UK, but they had sort of a weird concept of what traditional British things were. So they'd come and they'd have sort of an entourage carrying gifts. So you'd have things like Harrods hampers, and that's all nice. That gets shared out. Some of those will go to the execs, and others will get shared out. It's around Christmas time, we get shared out between the staff and things. But they'd also have things like I'm trying to think how to describe it. It was a riding crop, but with a fur handle, and it was in a box frame. Just
what you wanted.
Exactly. It's sort of like
weird, quaint.
You walk into the main conference room and say, and it's very minimalist. It's sort of white room with a nice neon Sega sign on it, and then you've got this framed fur riding crop. It's like
You'd rather have just get me some rare Mega CD game or something.
It's got
a pile of them there probably.
Well, actually, that would actually be something that would be really good, because in the actual UK office, you might have this idea that there's sort of an archive of all these old games. There's really not, because when we're working on Motorsport, I said, right, I need to go into the archives and I need to pull out some stuff on Super Monaco GP and Virtua Racing and all these things, and I went in, and it's not only is it the UK archive, it's also the America archive, because Sega America doesn't really exist anymore.
I guess it doesn't. No, that's weird.
So a lot of the stuff went into storage in somewhere in California, and then all the sort of paperwork and sort of all the old archive computer files and things that are all on CD came over to the UK.
There's Gold Master games of CD games and Saturn games and stuff knocking around. Is that
definitely not in the Brentford office? I really struggled to find anything. I mean, there were some some quirky things like Sonic the Hedgehog tins of beans from the 90s and things. They're generally
we've got no reason to collect this stuff. Really, they're just pumping.
No, but if there's copies of games or sort of beta versions of games or old Mega Drive test cartridges or whatever, they must exist in storage in California somewhere, because they're not in the UK office.
Probably by accident, really, as opposed to them. Yes, we must make sure we can preserve this. It's just thrown on the desk and then got put in a box.
Did you guys see that Sonic the Hedgehog curry?
Yeah,
I never saw the curry. No.
It will. I think it was a big thing probably about sort of 2-3 weeks ago, and Daniel Ibbotson, Slope's Game Room, was doing a testing of it, and it comes in the box, which is the same shape and size of the Japanese version of Sonic the Hedgehog. So it looks like a copy of the game, but it's a curry.
Ridiculous.
That looks like, and so you microwaved it and sort of ate it and go, oh, it's nice, but it just tastes like an Iceland curry. and I was just like, oh, okay, I might try and get one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, me and Stu are big Sega fanboys, and I don't know if you were as well, Matt. Maybe that's what motivated you to get a job there. But it's quite cool to hear about the inner sanctum, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I was always. I don't really know if I was Sega or Nintendo. Really, I was predominantly Game Boy. That was my thing. But then because I never really had a console to begin with. My sisters and I shared an Atari ST.
I was always a generation behind. I was always a generation behind because there'd be the main console would be out. Yeah. That would always be too expensive. I'd always be the previous one that had just got discounted. Until I was old enough to buy my own stuff that I was kind of able to get the present stuff. Yeah, I think it was the N64 was the first console I got anywhere near its.
Yeah, me too. Basically, I got an N64 when it was relatively new. And it was one Christmas. I got a Nintendo 64, I got GoldenEye, and I got my first color CRT TV of my own. Because before I just had this little thing that my dad dusted off in the loft that was an old black and white.
Yeah, I had a hand-me-down one. Yeah, I literally had like it was. I think it was like one of the colors had broke on the tube, so it was like very red tinted, but it was a TV. Yeah,
and that was I only had like 3 games or whatever, but yeah, GoldenEye was kind of the thing. But previous to that, I'd only had the Atari ST and the Game Boy. But then I got a Mega Drive 2 from when it was being on sale in Argos, so with the 6-in-1 cart, and that was my thing there. So I'd be playing Super Monaco GP and Columns and the original Sonic and things, and so I loved those. But so I didn't actually have that many games growing up. I only had a handful, but the ones that I had, I loved.
No, neither did I. I mean, that's why we're collectors, right? We're getting all these things that we had massive cravings for when we were kids, but
exactly that.
We couldn't do it. I mean, the Game Boy was my first console. I played the Commodore 64 was the first thing I ever played video games related, but it wasn't mine, it was my cousin's. But yeah, I got a Game Boy for Christmas '92, I think it was, with WWF Superstars 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I say I got a Game Boy. My sister actually got a Game Boy. She saved up her pocket. She was, she's a bit older than me, so she was able to save up some pocket money and got it. But I would steal it all the time, and I think my dad got so fed up of us fighting over it that he bought me one to shut us up, which just really annoyed her, because then I just got one basically because he couldn't be bothered to hear us arguing anymore.
That would work, yeah. I've always been a fan of handhelds, really, because of the Game Boy, I think. I always make a point of getting them. Like, at the moment, I've gone a bit mental over the Nokia N-Gage.
That's what I've always wanted. I had the Nokia 3300, which was the same shape.
Yeah, had the same like CPU and I think as well and everything. Yeah,
and my friend had an N-Gage, and I so wanted it, and I never got one. And I bought myself a QD maybe a year ago, and I've got.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my collection now. I've got probably
it's good
18, 19 games. Not a huge collection, but I've got quite a lot, and I love it. I mean,
yeah, it's good. It's a good system.
It's an awful phone, but it was a relative. For the day, it was miles ahead of anything else on a mobile.
It was the first handheld console where you could actually get sort of PS1 quality 3D graphics, because it was still Game Boy Advance really in those days. Remember going into Game? This must have been 2003. Yeah. They heavily promoted it, didn't they? They had a kiosk where you could play it, and I saw it and I thought, oh, what's this?
Yeah,
I read about it.
I did a conversation video on my channel. I did a conversation with John Hancock, who's got. He's got a complete collection of N-Gage. Yeah. Plus, he's also got some demo units, because he used to work for GameStop in the US. And
they were just like dumping them, yeah.
Literally, they were like, somebody take them or they're going in the bin. So he's got the full collection. He's got some boxed QDs, and he's also got like a demo unit. The one thing that I really, really want for my channel, is there's only a couple of them in the world, so getting one is going to be, or I'll probably never have one. Is there's a couple of modded N-Gages that were specifically done by Nokia for E3, and there's a Polish guy who's got one who does full playthroughs of N-Gage games.
Yeah, I've noticed that. All like the channels are all like Russian or Polish or something. There's not really any, English content apart from John there.
What's it modded to do?
To have a video out.
Oh, right. Okay.
Is it one he's got like an image of like a picture of an N-Gage, but the screen is the actual footage? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it does a video out to a PC, and then he captures it and he just puts a image of an N-Gage over it. And
there's like no emulators. Is there? There's not like an emulator, is there?
No, there is no emulator. There was a way of somewhat doing it, but it never worked properly. You needed a Symbian emulator, and that which was for developers back in the day, but it still didn't really do it properly. You can get the ROMs, you can download the ROMs, but there's no emulator to run them.
It's annoying as well because for the life of me, I can't find. So I see videos online of people that have put every N-Gage game on a 1 gigabyte memory card, and they're basically because they've patched them. You can't just put the ROMs of the games on there. You can download the ROMs from I'm not telling you where, but you can download like a complete pack, but they don't work they don't work because they're not patched. They kind of got to be cracked like Amiga games were, and to just run. But I think it's about 50 games came out for it. So yeah, it's not a big deal to collect.
Some good titles on there. I mean,
Tomb Raider and Tony Hawk, really like the actual PS1 versions, really.
Yeah, but I mean, even simple games, but good versions of them, like Puyo Pop or whatever it's called, Puyo Fever, Puyo Pop. Bomberman, Worms. Simple games, but good versions of them, better than any mobile version that existed at the time.
And you've got a full Elder Scrolls exclusive game on it, Shadow Key, which is very bizarre, which is not some kind of weird baby Game Boy Advance sort of, cutesy game.
I mean, actually, my sort of, when I was looking into the N-Gage, it was while I was still at Sega. The reason I did it was because I was like, it's almost impossible to be able to capture this because obviously, there are only a couple of N-Gages in the world that are able to do it. But one way to get around it, so you could do some videos on it, would be occasionally the press packs would have a CD with them. Footage. And I thought, well, if I'm ever going to be able to get hold of a Sonic N press pack, it would be
get one. Yeah.
No, none of the Sonic team had ever heard of it. They had no idea where I could get all of it. I got in touch with the guy that runs the Sonic Twitter in America and the Sonic team that were developing Sonic Mania out there.
It's a good game, Sonic N, actually.
They'd never heard of it. And it was at the same time I was trying to get a copy of Sonic Jam on the Gamecom.
Yeah.
Because actually at the time we were doing this is actually quite funny.
Gamecom.
I wanted to do a Sonic Handhelds video, and I've done it now. It's in 3 parts, but I couldn't do it when I was working for Sega because obviously it's a conflict of interest. I had to wait till I left. But I was asking around, where can I get a copy of Sonic Jam? And no one had ever heard of it. And we in our sort of editorial that we sent out for Retro Gamer and for MCV and everything for the 25th anniversary, there's a timeline of Sonic games. And not only is Sonic Jam not in there, it says for I forgot the name of it, Sonic on the what's it called?
On what?
My mind's gone blank.
On the Gamecom.
No,
Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Pocket Color, that's the one.
Sonic Pocket Adventure, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Pocket.
It says that's the first Sonic game on Sonic handheld game on non-Sega hardware, and I was like, no. Sonic Jam came out on the game.
Of course, yeah.
But everyone kind of glossed over that.
Yeah, I'd like Fighters Mega Mix and all kinds of weird, ports that weren't ports.
Have you played Sonic Jam on the Gamecom?
No, I've seen obviously the videos. I want to get a Gamecom because it looks horrendous.
I got it in the day. I pestered my dad to get it, and he got it for me, and it was awful. It was rubbish. But
it looked cool in the adverts when they showed brief clips of
cool. And to be honest, at the time, it kind of was a bit, touchscreen was a bit fancy.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that it was meant to come boxed with Batman and Robin, and the game was so bad that they didn't, that even though it's still on the box art, when it came to the UK, they'd taken Batman and Robin out and replaced it with Wheel of Fortune, which I
saying something, isn't it? Yeah.
which I was really annoyed about. But I tell you what, Wheel of Fortune was the best game on the Gamecom. So in the end, because actually it really worked. It worked well for the touchscreen. It was actually a really fun game on the Gamecom. But it speaks volumes that they took the box-in game, like a movie tie-in game, out and replaced it with a game show tie-in.
I mean, that would have been a better option to have Batman and Robin. But talking about the N-Gage, when I was, I used to have a sort of chips franchise years ago, sort of another computer game shop, and every year we had a big sort of sales conference, and I went up to that one year, and it was just after the N-Gage kind of failed and no one was interested in it, and Nokia were at our big sales conference, and they made this whole great presentation about we're going to bring out the next level of gaming on a portable system, and show some sort of amazing sort of almost PS2 style graphics, and said all the games are going to look like this, and you just sort of triggered my memory about it, and of course it never happened.
I remember going back to when I saw it in game, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. I saw it had like Tomb Raider was the game that it was demoing, and I thought, oh, this would be some silly little side-scrolling handheld thing. But I started playing it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the actual real Tomb Raider. It was like really amazing polygon graphics. I thought this is cool.
What they were talking about was actually the next, almost like the N-Gage 2, or how they were going to do gaming at the next level, and of course Nokia really didn't do any of that.
They sort of took the N-Gage name, and it became like kind of an app almost that would be on the Symbian.
Yeah, it was a store.
Yeah, the store. Yeah. I think it's just like a Resident Evil game came out. That's the only one that's any worth anything. It works on. I think it still works on an actual N-Gage. But yeah, I mean, people sort of lump the N-Gage in with like the like the Gamecom, and I was going to say Atari Electronics is actually good, and a few other failed ones. But it's not. It's got legitimately good games. Not many. Like Tony Hawk. If you like the PS1 Tony Hawk's games, you'll love that. Like I said, Tomb Raider, Sonic N is good. You've got Colin McRae, really. Rayman. You got a really good King of the Fighters game.
Splinter Cell, Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, Splinter Cell, Super Monkey Ball. And you've got like, mine, I've popped like a couple of emulators on it as well. It's got like a Game Boy emulator, which is really good.
Yeah.
NES one, I think it's a Mega Drive one. And yeah, you could actually go for there's tons of sealed copies of games still knocking around. A lot of them in Europe. So be careful, if you're fussy about getting the English box art and everything. But yeah, you could get a lot of sealed copies for like 10 quid. So now's the time to collect it if you're going to collect it. We're going to do an episode of Obscure Handhelds. We'll probably get you back on for that, actually.
Yeah.
There's
only really a couple of N-Gage games that are really expensive. A lot of them are cheap. And, a lot of the time with N-Gage, it's just being patient. Because if there's a game on eBay, you'll go out and it'll be for sale for like 80 quid. You wait a month and you'll find one for 10 quid.
Exactly.
People think that people overprice them on eBay. But occasionally, people will realise the price that it needs to be to actually sell.
I'd say like 90% of the library is £10 and under. And like the unit itself, I mean, obviously the QD version, which is the smaller one, really, really neat little unit. Still smaller than any handheld these days, and some of them when it was some of its contemporaries like the PSP and the DS, way smaller than those. You can pick those up for like funny enough, don't get them from the UK. People tend to charge a bit more in the UK. It's certainly about 50, 60 quid, but often there's loads in like Thailand and Malaysia. I picked up one from there, and they charge about 30 quid with a few quid post. I think it's because they're just, feature phones that are still quite popular there. So Nokia, I think, banged out a ton of them.
Well, I mean, every now and then you'll find someone who's just, so on eBay, it's kind of a mix of people that know what they've got, and then people that are just getting rid of something that they used to have. And so a lot of the time, if you get lucky, you can pick up a QD or an original model with the games that they had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's when somebody knows what they've got that they tend to charge a bit too much for it.
And it's because it's like a phone, so people might have actually bought it legitimately as a phone and just
Exactly, yeah. And it'll still, it still works as a phone. If you pop an old style SIM card in it, it still works.
It does, yeah. So they'll probably be selling it at the price of this is my crappy old phone I've no interest in,
Exactly.
so you might be able to get a bargain. And the great thing is, like, the batteries in it, you know, if it's like an old laptop or something, you'd be damned if you could find a battery that works for it. But because they just use Nokia mobile phone batteries that are still produced,
which were bulletproof anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, have a lot of recharge cycles. They're really easy to find and dirt cheap. So, yeah, that was a nice little N-Gage segue there. We do a whole episode on it. So, talking of, like, you know, mentioned it already that you had this. Your channel really sort of blew up when you began your investigations into CEX. So how did that begin, where you started to discover their sort of slightly more shady inlay printing shenanigans?
Well, it just started off as just another video. I mean, they've been doing it for years, but on a relatively small scale, and then it just sort of blew up quite recently. And I'd seen that they were doing it so maybe a year or more ago, but they were doing, again, it was still quite small. But I went to the store in Birmingham. We went up to go see my wife's parents in Birmingham around Christmas last year. I mean, I like CEX, first of all. I quite like it because there's not a lot of retro gaming stores around.
Reasonably priced, I think, on the whole, mostly.
I liked being able to go to a high street store wherever I was and have a look at some of the retro stock in there. So, you know, I went in having a look at sort of GameCube stuff because, you know, one thing that we always do around Christmas is I always take my Wii to my parents because to my parents and my mother and father-in-laws because, you know, it's the console that everyone will play. But while I was there, I was going, you know what, I'll go have a look at the GameCube stuff while I'm here. Maybe pick something up. Maybe something I can play that, you know, whether they're interested or not. And about 90% of the stock in there, and it's a big store, Birmingham. Now about 90% of the Game Boy stock was reprinted, and you know, it was, you know, they were using
original Game Boy.
Sorry, did I say Game Boy? GameCube.
GameCube.
Oh, right.
They were using just, you know, generic DVD cases, which first of all don't fit the disc, but also they're opaque, so you can't see any CEX printing on it. That, you know, on the inside that says printed. So I thought, well, this can't be right, you know, because you know, they can't surely get away with this. You know, Nintendo logos are trademarked, the PEGI logos are trademarked, the copyright, the artwork is copyrighted. And they were doing it with all sorts of games, you know, the Xbox 360 games. They were doing it with, like you said, I think earlier on in the video, anything that you could stick a sleeve into any case, you know, any card case. It doesn't have to be an original one or not. So I started looking into it a little bit more, and you know, there was no policy on it. They don't put a policy on their website. You can't contact them about it other than on Twitter. They use a generic trading standards line. And I thought, you know, this isn't quite right, because, you know, it was around about Christmas, and you know, that's the kind of time when not people that aren't necessarily gamers are going to go and buy presents. You know, so for example, they had Legend of Zelda Wind Waker there in a DVD case with a reprinted cover for 40 quid, which is a
it's a sought after game.
You know, they had probably 20 copies of Mario Kart Double Dash and Super Smash Brothers. Some of them were original, some of them were reprinted, but you couldn't really tell the difference, which is, you know, for the average person, that's not really an issue. But at the same time, you know, if you wanting to trade that back in to somewhere, you're going to lose out. Or if you're wanting to sell it, you're going to lose out. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look into this a little bit more. And it started to really take off when I'd kind of hypothesized that they could artificially inflate the prices for things. So if they were to take in games that were unboxed and reprint something for it, they're basically printing money then. And although they said that they don't, I had a lot of employees telling me that they do. As long as the game, because CEX have got buy-in targets as well as selling targets.
Yeah.
So if a game is going to be worth more than £5, they'll buy it in. Whether it's got, well, not every store. You know, there's corporate stores and there's franchise stores, but a lot of stores would actually do it and not tell the so-called print center that they're doing it. But at the same time, They also had a thing where they would sell games for different prices depending on what kind of case they had. So Wii Sports Resort, Mario Kart Wii, and basically anything that came as a box in with a console came in a cardboard sleeve. But the thing is, if they lost that cardboard sleeve, or it got stolen, or it got torn, or whatever, they can't print another one of those. So the only way that they can sell that game then is to print a DVD-style case inlay. But the thing is, they sold them for different prices. It was twice the price for a plastic case Wii Sports or Mario Kart Wii or Wii Sports.
That's ridiculous.
So, if you have a disc that was Wii Sports, for example, it was being sold at that point for £8. It went from £5 to £8, which is already £5 was already too much for it. But it's Christmas, everyone's buying. Every Christmas, Wii Sports goes through the roof because everyone's buying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the DVD style case was £16, and they were basically turning these disc only games into something that they were charging £8 for a generic DVD case and a reprinted cover. When
you're really buying it, you're buying the disc. Really, is the only legit thing that you should be paying for.
Now that's first. There was two sides of it. First of all, that's shady, but I wanted to see if it was legal or not. Because say if you walk into Game, for example, they'll sell. I think I've put it on one of my videos before. They had a copy of Zelda Wind Waker, not Zelda Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, with an original cover and one that they just a generic. No, they hadn't printed.
Usually white, aren't they?
Yeah, and they were the same price. And you think, well, that's not quite okay, but it's at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
But CEX weren't doing that. They were being a bit, shady about it. And if you went up to the till with one of these, they wouldn't tell you that it was reprinted. They would just sell it as if it was legit.
And because of all this, you do get a sense that they kind of know that they're wrong, so they don't want to, shadiness.
So I spent a few months sort of badgering them to tell me what the policy is on this and why they think they have the right to do it. Because I would go on the Nintendo website and it would say that all of their assets, including box art, it actually specifically says box art, the copyright is retained by Nintendo, and because of the amount of requests that they get, they have a blanket policy of that they do not let you use any of their copyright or trademark materials unless it's, say, editorial. In which case, if it's editorial, you're covered by fair use to use it. And the other one is, I actually looked at on Mario Kart Double Dash. They had the cases reprinted on the shelves. If you actually go into the manual of Mario Kart Double Dash, I'm not sure if it's the European one or the American one, but it says that all printed materials that come with this game are covered by international copyright and trademark laws. I was kind of like, okay, now I'm starting to get somewhere. They're breaking copyright and trademark laws, or potentially breaking them, and they're not replying to me. They're actually specifically dodging me when I started talking about it. And I've God, how long has it been going on now? 7 months, I think. No, 8 months. Every time they've used, this isn't copyright infringement. It's sort of been, we've got verification from trading standards. I've gone, all right, show me. Here's my email address. Show me that you've got verification. Put a policy on your website. Put a statement out on social media. Put anything out that shows that you have this verification, and they can't. Yeah. And since then, God knows how many employees and ex-employees have come to me and started talking about it. They've leaked the policy document to me. I've had a look at the CEX policy document, the internal one. It does not state anywhere why they have the right to do it. The finger gets pointed to rogue franchises a lot. So basically, the CEX policy is that they print a cover in their media center, whatever, or their print center, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's in Warrington, and they print on the other side that it's printed by CEX, and that allows them to do it. It doesn't state anywhere why they're allowed to do it, and basically every staff or ex-staff member I've spoken to says if they ask why they're allowed to, they're told to shut up. But the thing is, first of all, CEX will print these covers, but they will then sell the covers to their franchise stores. They don't just give them to their franchise; they will actually sell. So they're reprinting stuff and they sell them
It's a weird setup, isn't it?
For 25p for the franchise.
25p.
25p. So if you, and this is supposedly to cover a license fee, according to some employees, but not only is there no evidence of any such license existing, because they'd have to get permission from the BBFC, from PEGI, from Nintendo, from Ubisoft, from Rockstar, from Microsoft, there's no such thing as this blanket license. It doesn't exist. Not only that also people like Nintendo specifically say that they do not give this permission. But anyway, it's meant to cover this, license fee and reprinting, logistics, whatever you want to call it. But they are specifically selling it to their franchise stores. Now, their franchise stores, if they've got, buy-in targets to get, and the game is only worth 50p, they've got to buy that game in, send it to Warrington, get charged 25p, have it sent back to their store, and then sell it for, a few pence profit.
Such a weird setup.
I kind of feel sorry for some franchises, and I can understand why they would go to the extent of, some of them are awful. You'll see PlayStation Vita games with PS4 covers and GameCube games with Xbox covers, and
so they decide to do it themselves. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So they just do it themselves, which is against the policy. But
so
I understand.
I was looking in a sorry to interrupt, into a CEX yesterday, and the one in Brixton, and honestly, some of the game covers, you could just spot them straight away that they were being reprinted, but they didn't look like. It was something, I haven't got a younger brother, but if I'm a younger brother and he had his, 50 quid inkjet printer, they looked like that.
Well, that's exactly it. The thing is, so a lot of the franchise stores, not all of them, I have to caveat that with some of them. Actually, I've had a lot of, because I've always said, I actually want CEX to not end up getting sued for this, because I quite like the fact that I can buy these games on the high street. I don't want CEX to disappear, which it could do. Some franchise owners have come to me and gone, look, the print center is awful. It doesn't a lot of them are awful anyway, so that's why some franchises do it themselves. But I won't say which store it was, but I've had somebody come to me in the last few days and go, look, I worked at this store and the whole upstairs is dedicated to repurposing stock that wouldn't otherwise be able to be sold. So they would have an inkjet printer. They'd literally go on Google, find the cover, print it off, put it with a disc, and a lot of this is unsubstantiated because I can't prove it. But but according to this ex-employee, what they would also do is they'd start doing things like, if someone had acquired a phone that of dubious means. So, for example, they got an iPhone 10 and never paid the bill, but they've still got they've got a £1,000 phone in their hand. In the UK, that phone can be blocked from any UK network, but it will still work on a network outside of the UK. So this store was supposedly selling these, or sort of shipping these phones to the franchise stores in Spain to then be, which is highly illegal. But they were
laundering, isn't it? Almost.
Exactly. Well, pretty much. But as I say, I can't back that up. That's just
that's handling stolen goods, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're aware that's been stolen and it's been blocked, it's been snatched out of someone's hand, and now it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you're going, all right, okay, I've got stolen stuff here. Well, one, you should have done your checks when you were buying it, and two, you shouldn't be selling it to, Spain or moving it to or something.
And the only way I could prove that was to send somebody into this store, and at the end of the day, all I could prove is that this store is doing it. I'm trying to show that sort of CEX as a whole has got this problem, because the franchise stores are under pressure from corporate to do this and to be charged for it, and I can understand why they get annoyed with them. And then the corporate store, it's their responsibility to protect the franchise stores and say that this policy is legal. And at the moment, they're not doing that. Not only are they doing that, they are potentially passing on criminal charges to customers as well. Because if you get sold, and actually they have changed their policy a little bit now, because since these videos, I know that CEX watch my videos because I've had employees tell me that internal emails have gone round to stick to the policy. But they've now, if you take it to a till, they will actually tell you, oh, this is a reprinted cover, which they never used to do. But they will also tell you, and they've actually stopped saying this on Twitter. They've stopped saying a lot of their old lines on Twitter as responses. But if you took that back into a CEX store, they would be supposedly buy it off you back. They buy it back off you, which some don't. But anyway, So that's actually encouraging you. First of all, you're tied to CEX because no one else will buy it. No other store will take it. But also, you're being encouraged to sell or distribute copyright infringing materials, which is a criminal charge.
Yeah, so you're getting dragged into it as well without realizing it.
And if CEX have the permission to do this, if they have a license or they have a verification from trading standards, they have to have a public policy on it. They have to have it on their website that protects them, and it also protects you as a customer. And they don't have anything. They have a lot of contradictory tweets, and they have nothing. And as I say, a franchise owner got in touch with me a while ago, and he said, yeah, there's been some internal emails going around since your videos have started. And so far, CEX have got no answers for it. And the thing is, if they want to shut me up, because they do have the right to do it, it'd be so easy. Just put the verification from trading standards there. And the only reason that it seems to be that they don't do it is because they don't have it. And that's the only logical thing that comes out of it. They're just making
stop.
It's so. But what the real kicker is the fact that apparently, again, I don't know this. This is just what employees have told me. There is a generic cover that exists. CEX made a generic cover.
There's been one they've used in the past. I can picture it in my mind.
Like a big red CEX sleeve, isn't it? Yeah.
Because
the reason they don't use it, supposedly, this is the line that was used, was that it was had some problems with licensing in terms for like BBFC and things. It's like, hang on. You have the right, like how Game do and like how Basio do and whatever. You have the right to say that this game was rated 18 by PEGI or whatever. As long as you don't use the PEGI logo, it's just factual. This is it. It was rated.
To be honest, they could probably say to PEGI, "We are making these labels. We have to sell them. Can we use your range of logos and your the BF." Or the film ones,
yeah.
And they would say, well, of course you can. That's imperative that customers know exactly what the age rating is of your game. And I think in reality, though it is a trademarked item, if it's actually going to stop people, buying the correct item, I don't see a problem.
And there's two things that came about. One was that some stores started photoshopping covers together. So if I went into the Stratford store in London, I could find a 3DS game which has an Australian front and American back.
Oh my god!
Which
That's not at any point the real cover,
No, but with a PEGI logo photoshopped over the Australian and ESRB ratings.
Yeah.
And also, I could find copies of Smash Brothers in the Birmingham store. It wasn't the Birmingham store. It wasn't me. This is someone else that found it on Twitter. It had a PEGI 12 logo on Smash Brothers for the GameCube, which wasn't even rated PEGI 12. Which, you can say, oh well, it was rated. It was rated 11 by another body, and then it was rated PEGI 3, and at least it's over. But what happens if they completely messed it up and they start rating Grand Theft Auto as a PEGI 3?
Oh yeah.
And some parent that picks it up and like, oh well, PEGI 3, why not? Because
there's no vetting process for this. I just pump the cover out and that's it.
Yeah,
no one's checking it.
And a lot of parents don't know whether a game, they don't know the reputation of. Grand Theft Auto is probably a bad example because that's quite a famous game. But something like Doom, if Doom had a PEGI 3 logo on it, and the little kid that walked into CEX is like, I want this, and the parent was like, all right, yeah.
Well, Call of Duty, I mean, that's not like a U, is it, or whatever it is, or that's for all that. Then it's actually, and the front cover doesn't have a bloke ripping someone's head off. It's just a generic army dude.
Yeah, I actually had somebody go on a rant at me on Twitter the other day, saying that because they deal in secondhand goods, they have a right to do this, and this is something that CEX have tried to do and actually sort of backtracked it a while ago. And they started sort of stating things of how they have the right to do this as per the Secondhand Goods Act. And first of all, I was like, well, first of all, there's no such thing as a Secondhand Goods Act. That only exists in South Africa, and it has nothing to do with printed covers. And then he tried to correct himself and start going, oh, it's not, the artwork isn't being sold as a secondary product. It's, it's just being used to show what it actually is, that, it's part of the, the trade.
Quite naive.
Yeah. And he started sort of trying to state sort of legal aspects to it. You know, the Sales of Good Act and the I can't remember the name of the other one. But anyway, he sort of said, "Oh, go have a look at this act and go have a look at that act." And I actually did. I looked through them all, and it has absolutely nothing in it about reprinting covers at all. Like, he started saying it like it was fact. You know, go look at the Sales of Good Act 1979. I was like, the Sales of Good Act 1979 does not say anything about reprinting.
Read any of this stuff, or it's just arbitrarily.
Whilst we're sat here, I'm actually trying to find the tweet, and he's actually deleted one of them. So that's the reason I can't tell you. And the other one, the other thing as well, I said, you know, I looked through it. It says, look, it doesn't have it in. Show me the policy. I was like, you know what, we can sit here all day having an argument. Show me the policy. And then he came back as it's like you're not even reading my tweet, so I'm just going to leave it here. It's like, whoa, hang on, no. This is not the Donald Trump school of debating here. You can't just say, go look at these fake laws that don't exist and then just drop the mic. I was kind of like,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
If CEX are going to prove that they have the right to do this, or going to prove me wrong in any way possible, they have to back it up with policy. And right now, I have not seen anything to show that that policy exists. I've had friends that are lawyers look at it.
Yeah,
that policy doesn't seem to exist. The license fee that some employees have been told that CEX uses doesn't seem to exist. I don't know if this is just some internal thing that they're told to shut the staff up. There is absolutely nothing to suggest it. And a lot of employees have just gone, oh, yeah, we used to buy in games without discs. And it's kind of like, well, that's the whole point of artificial inflation. You're turning these games that aren't boxed into boxed games, overcharging people, and then the game is effectively unboxed. They can't sell it on. And even if they do, they're potentially going to face criminal charges.
I mean, the reason they're doing it is because they can make more money out of a game with like what they think is an actual proper inlay. There's
no other reason.
There's no other reason, yeah. And someone in corporate thought they could get away with it and didn't do their research.
Yeah, and as I say, you know, this has been going on for 8 months now. If it was all above board and they wanted to shut me up, they could have shut me up in 5 minutes, and they haven't. And they've kept quiet. That you can't ring them up. There is no phone number to ring them up if it's all automated. There's no email address that you can get a response from. It's all social media, and they've stopped responding to me. They specifically dodged me, and they've even
blacklisted.
They've even stopped using their generic. Well, they used to it's because we deal in secondhand goods, blah 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 blah. Stop using that. It's not copyright. In fact, we've got verification trading standards. They've stopped using that. They've basically just gone, right, we're not going to respond to this anymore. But they have been talking about it internally still, because I have friends that work for CEX, and I have friends that are friends with those who work there. And apparently, a lot of the franchise stores have been told to stop doing it. Not only have they been told to stop printing their own, but they might actually be phasing out the print center.
Wow.
But there's been no public announcement about this, and they will probably never make a public announcement about this. But it looks like they are just trying to deal with it in the background and hope nothing. Because the thing is, you can report them to trading standards, but the problem is trading standards deal in specific council areas and things. There is no sort of blanket corporate. There is the intellectual property office, but they're not that interested in small scale. But it's secondhand video. They're more interested in people selling fake things that are dangerous, like fake car rims or stuff, phone chargers that are they're backed up with that kind of thing to deal with this. Doesn't mean that CEX has got the right to do it. It just means that the intellectual property office is too backed up to actually deal with something like this. So it's up to us. It's up to people who expose them for it. Because as I say, the amount of employees and ex-employees that are willing to talk is crazy, but they don't want to do it themselves, so they'll come to me or Top Hat Gaming Man. And I had quite a small channel. I just did it as another video, and it wasn't getting much interest. So Top Hat Gaming Man, it's not so much a collaboration, but he noticed that this was happening and got pissed off about it. And it's like, has anyone else seen this? And I sent him my video and was like, well, I'm gonna make a video about it, but I tell you what, I'm just gonna start sharing yours because you're already ahead of me. And that's kind of where it went from there.
Is Watchdog still on?
Watchdog has come back. And
wow.
not only have I sent it, quite a few people have sent it. But the problem is CEX don't talk, and there's no email address, there's no phone number. So they're probably having as many problems as I have. But
yeah, I imagine they could turn up there with a mic, because I've been thinking about this today, and you know, I mentioned at the start, you know, I've just left my video game shop after 10 years, and we've sold plenty of games, you know, disc games where we haven't got the box, we haven't got the cover art, and we've just had a sort of a blank template, or we've stuck the instructions into the sleeve, and it's clear as day you're not getting the right product. You're not getting, you know, the full product. So, you know, obviously collectors won't buy it. But then what CEX should do is, you know, sort of computer game sort of talk here, but you should have sort of 3 statuses for a game. So you'll have new, and so a new game is sealed or is described as new, and then maybe the insides may be in the drawer. You'll have second hand, which is complete, with the instructions, with the sleeve in the correct box, and then you'll have loose, for example. So then each one will have, like, the new game will be £40, the second hand game will be £20, and then the loose game would be £10, for example. And then you only give half as much as what you would have done beforehand, you know, when you're taking it in. And that's just that to me that's the way I've done it. That's the honest way of doing it.
Well, the funny thing is they do that with sort of like Mega Drive games and things. You know, you buy it as an unboxed or box. But the problem with there is that a lot of stores have different definitions. So, for example, if you
found that
if you want to go into a store and get a mint copy, in some stores, mint just means that it has the manual with it. It doesn't mean it's in good condition. It just means it has the manual. And also, another thing that CEX do that is it's perfectly legal to do it, but it's kind of a bit questionable. Is that they say that they only sell secondhand stuff.
Oh no.
Well, this is the thing.
It's behind the counter, isn't it? That's sealed stuff.
It's all behind the counter, marked up as second hand.
You know why?
If you want to get into the ins and outs of VAT, though the sticker says second hand and they're selling it as second hand, it's been put through the till. I don't know if it's been put through the till as second hand, because that's a way to avoid VAT.
Yeah, but do you know how they do it? They get people to buy the games. I don't know if it's staff or if it's store owners or whatever, but they buy the games, put them behind, even if it's bought from wholesalers, and then they are sold to the store. So they are actually bought by the store, and at that point they are secondhand, whether they're brand new, sealed, whatever. And you know, some stores I've walked in, and you can get when was it? It was Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. You could buy that before it was out in main stores because it's secondhand.
Yeah, they had a PS4 in the Stratford one. I used to live in Stratford the day before it came out. Because
they are not bound by supply chains. You know, it's the same in journalism. You know, you can set an embargo or something, or set a release date. Game will have those games way before the release date, but they are duty bound to sell it when the game has officially come out. And if they break that embargo, they could lose their supply chain. CEX don't have that supply chain. So if someone's buying the games from someone else, we don't know who, whether it's a wholesaler or, you know, backhanded deal from someone else, and then selling them back to the store and putting them through the system, there is no supply chain. They can start selling the game a week early. It doesn't matter because no one. And at that point, you're actually losing stores like Game and all these other people business because you're breaking these embargoes, which is another practice that we could go into. That's a whole other side of it.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't want to preach about that part of it.
Well, the thing that we touched upon it already, and I think Stu, we've talked about it because obviously as collectors, we obviously want to try and get, you know, the best condition we can for the best price. But I've done that CEX roulette where I collect NES, unfortunately, and Super Nintendo, which are horrible things to collect for because of the boxes, as is N64. But one thing I do if I've got a bit of spare cash, often if it's a game I really care about, CEX, actually tend to have the best prices a lot of the time. I'll buy 2 copies of a game if they have it at their boxed level. Chances are one of them will be pretty good, and I've even an NES game, the cardboard box will be in good nick, the cart will be fine, and it'll have the instructions. Whereas the other one I'll get, which is the same level, same price, it'll be absolutely battered. Or I'll get one that's kind of, it's got the manual but the rest is buggered, and the other one had a good box and didn't have a manual. I can Frankenstein it together. One example that was really bad that I mentioned as well, Stu, you'll probably remember me telling you about this as well. I bought Castlevania New Generation for the Mega Drive. Quite an expensive game. I'm not making myself a bit broke getting, but I bought 2 copies. I was fortunate enough to have the cash that particular month. And I got one that was in pretty good nick. And another one I got, and the inlay was... had really bad water damage to the point where the person that, I guess, water damaged it glued another Mega Drive inlay to it to sort of solidify it and cut out like a bit of the inlay, so the Mega Drive logo came out on the spine, and that was still sold at the boxed level. I obviously sent it back, but that was actually like an absolutely you can't sell it boxed when the inlay is absolutely buggered. And
I think that's the problem with CEX is, well, certainly for the retro stuff, we know where a game comes in, say for example into my old shop, it will come in and we might say to someone over the phone, oh yeah, we'll offer you £10 for that. Okay, it comes in. Bloody hell, look at the state of it. The spine's damaged, it's water damaged. Someone's made a roach out of the instruction book. It's completely ruined. And okay, so test it right. Okay, it works. Well, I'm sorry, I can't give you £10. You told me on the phone it was mint, so I'll give you £7. So now you'll sell it for, let's say, £12 when you would have sold it for £15. So. And then someone will come and go, oh, actually, yes, a bargain. That it usually goes on eBay for 17, and they go, oh, I don't mind, it's a bit damaged. I just want to play the game. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, there's just the levels of quality just vary too much for you just to have boxed and mint. I mean, some of them, maybe a Mega Drive. You're probably going to be okay at maybe having boxed and mint because the boxes are good, solid. But anything that's cardboard or anything that's like Dreamcast where the hinges break all the time, PlayStation where the inlays get buggered because the
whole thing with selling retro online, okay, it works great on eBay because people can, people put 10 pictures up. It works great on Facebook because they'll put lots of photos up. But the problem is on CEX, you're just seeing a generic picture that's taken from the internet.
A lot of the time it's wrong
on there, and they'll say, oh, we got this game in, and you go, oh, great, that's a great price. That's the game I want. It's a NES game, and then of course it turns out it hasn't got the bit of polystyrene in there. It hasn't got the plastic sleeve. It's got the instructions, but they're all ripped, and the box has been half ripped open.
I've noticed as well that
you don't know what you're buying.
Yeah, that sometimes they'll have Genesis versions of games as well. I've seen them in the shops, although it's not. Well, it can be a big deal because there's a very weird region protection on Mega Drive games. Some are region protected, some aren't. The early games you can get away with. So if you see a Genesis Golden Axe, that'll probably be all right. But you might want the actual Mega Drive version because that's what we had. Yeah. And also, like with the NES, there's PAL A and PAL B. You could just rock into CEX with RoboCop 2 PAL B, which won't work on a UK NES. And they'll probably just take it because it'll be funny. The people that tend to work behind the counter at CEX, certainly the local ones to me, they're probably people in their early 20s, weren't born when these things were the main consoles. They wouldn't know like a PAL NES game was or a PAL. The manager might not even know. He might not particularly be a fan of video games that knows about collecting them. Or even if he is, all he plays is like PS3 and Xbox 360 or whatever the current console is.
Well,
it's only people like us.
It probably gets spent off to the Spanish stores anyway. I think it's Spain PAL B. I can't remember.
Spain's PAL B, I think. Yeah, it's like Spain, Italy, and Germany, and a few others. There were some games that they got that we didn't at all, like Tecmo World Cup. We didn't get that at all. One that I really want, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. They got that in France and Germany and Italy. We didn't get it at all. Really bizarrely, we didn't get that. Turtles 3 Manhattan. What? Something about Turtles go. Turtles Manhattan Project. That was PAL B only, not PAL A. I mean, you can, if you know, you can just clip the leg on the 10 NES chip and it will work.
Yeah.
You know, your casual person isn't going to know that, or your casual person probably would be buying NES games, to be honest. But you know what I mean? And you know, and they're games that you could walk into CEX and they could potentially give you a lot of money for a game like that. Although in certainly they probably wouldn't really, because it has to be on their database, isn't it? Because you see them look up the website a lot of the time when you go over and try and sell them a game. Yeah,
but one thing that is, I mean, I can't really hold it against the staff particularly, because they're not trained to do it. But fake Pokemon games are rife. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
a lot of the, every time I see
GBA versions of Pokemon, they're really bad. Yeah,
especially the Game Boy Advance. And every time I see one, I will always point it out to the staff. And to be fair to them, they're not trained to spot them. But I think the reason that this whole thing has managed to go so far as it has so far is that I don't point the blame at the staff at all. This is purely corporate. And say for example, like if Watchdog wanted to walk into a store with a microphone or something, it's not fair to put that on the staff.
No.
But one thing that is actually really good is that because I started my life as a journalist, I know this. If someone wants to start talking to Watchdog or start talking to me or anybody else, first of all, they're protected because they have the right to be a whistleblower if the company is doing something illegal. And secondly, the person that they're going to, be it Watchdog, be it a newspaper, be it me, whoever, they are duty bound to protect their sources. If this was to go to court, or a CEX that was going to try and take me to court, which they're not going to do because they don't seem to have a leg to stand on. But if they were to take me to court, I am not under any legal obligation to say who my sources are. I have the right to protect them.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the franchise owners, a lot of the employees, the ex-employees, are coming to me because I'm not obliged to say who they are. I can keep their anonymity, and they have the right to be a whistleblower. And a lot of the time they do care about this. They don't like the fact that people are being ripped off. They don't. Because a lot of them are gamers. Some of them aren't gamers, and they'll just work the shop.
Well, they must feel in an awkward position every day of the week.
Absolutely.
There's coming up with someone, come up to the counter, a mother who's not aware, and go, I've been looking for this game forever. I'm going to get it for my boy for his birthday. He really wants it. I couldn't find any other shop. Here it is. £30 later, and then the kid opens it up, and then all his mates laugh at him because he's got them laughing now. He's got a photocopied cover. And go, look, there's your photocopied cover. Hey.
And that employee is told to shut up and follow the policy.
Exactly. So that's the bad thing.
So, at this point, I can't say definitively that this, CEX are doing this illegal. However, they have had every opportunity to deny it and prove me wrong, and they've taken none of those opportunities. They have no public policy, no phone number, no email address. I've
back to rights, really.
I've jumped on other people. When they've responded to other people, I've jumped on those sort of trails of messages and said, when they've told some random person, oh yeah, no, we have verification from trading standards. I've jumped into that thread and gone, oh really? Here's my email address. Send it to me. I will happily do a retraction video and print, put your statement in it and show that you're all fine to do it. We're all good. It's a bit shady, but it's not illegal. No, not interested. They've taken no opportunity to do that. And the only, non-binding conclusion that I can come to is that they don't have it, because otherwise it is in their interest. Enough people have seen these. When it was just me, when I started doing this, I had 300 subscribers, and the video would get 20 views. Since it's kind of caught on, between the 4 parts, between the Gebs, between Top Hat Gaming Man, whatever, there's nearly 200,000 views on those videos combined now. It is well within their interest to jump on this.
Mm.
and they haven't.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing stopping them at all.
So,
they could squash it in a minute.
What do you think is going to what do you think is going to happen now? I mean, because obviously, I think it's clear they haven't got an actual policy on this. There's nothing from trading standards that they'll go, oh yeah, we've checked. Okay, you'll divulge that information. You'll put it on the back end of your website somewhere. So do you think they're slowly gonna? Oh god, okay, guys, we better stop doing this. And what do you reckon is going to be the outcome?
Well, I mean, obviously they don't put anything publicly, but judging from the employees and the franchise owners that I've spoken to, some have been told to stop doing it full stop. Some of them have been told to stick to the policy, and some have said that even though it's a huge problem, it's going to go away soon because they're going to be phased out. But the problem is that they've produced so many of these.
You see rows and rows of them.
Yeah, I mean, people will, generally speaking, a franchise owner won't send stuff unless they've got at least 50. So, that gives you an idea of how many they're sending. And CEX have stated that they will buy them back. So these things are now in circulation, regardless. Whether they stop, they're in circulation, and they have to keep coming back through CEX odds. And you do see them on eBay sometimes. And sometimes they will say it's got a CEX reprinted cover. Sometimes it won't. But if it's like a 3DS game where it's got like sort of some 3DS games have got like the holes in the back because they print something on the backside, you can just about see the printed by CEX thing on there. Mm. So the amount that have been produced as it is at the moment, they are going to be around for quite a while now because there's thousands of them. They're in the UK, they're in Ireland, they're in Spain.
So how does it work? Have you noticed any difference between the company stores and the franchise stores? Is there like different, when it happens more in the company stores because, corporate says, but then the franchise stores, I imagine some are really into it, and some are going, no, this isn't how I want to run my shop. Yeah.
Some franchise stores really want to just stick to the policy and trust that CEX have made sure that policy is legal, and they will go jump through all the hoops that they need to. The corporate stores don't get charged for their covers, so they will quite happily send it to the print center and have them reprinted. But then there are quite a few franchise stores as well that will just go rogue, and they will actually have an office set aside with an inkjet printer and just start banging stuff out. Particularly some of the stores in Ireland and Northern Ireland, because otherwise they have to send them overseas to get covers printed. And if it's
I would have thought they would have almost gone okay, because the reason they're printing these I see is because the boxes have been stolen or
damaged,
lost, or damaged. So they've got let's say 10 copies of Mario Kart Double Dash have all been damaged. So were you saying they'll send those discs to
Warrington,
to the print center in Preston, and then, but I would have thought they would have gone, there'd be some sort of online ordering system, and they go Double Dash, GameCube, I need 10 of those. Okay, 10 of them, that's £2.50. Yeah, put that on my account and I'll pay that at the end of the month. And then they would just go, and then the print center would automatically print out 10 of them, and then in the next delivery from head office or the print center or wherever, all of these printouts would come, and the game wouldn't actually leave Ireland or the shop.
Well, it's a bit inconsistent. Some say they do that, some don't. And you're right, they do get charged. They'll get like a monthly or quarterly bill for the bill. But the problem is that a lot of the time it's not just the sleeve. They don't carry enough cases to just be spare in the store. So a lot of the time they will have to send the disc to Warrington, and it will come back not only with a reprinted sleeve, but with a case. A lot of the time that's just a generic DVD case. But yeah, sometimes they will. You can just go in the system and order it. Sometimes you have to actually send the discs because they have to have cases with them. But I think we were talking a little while ago about online shopping. It is corporate policy that these do not go out with online orders, because there's no CEX warehouse, as it were. If you order a game on the CEX website, a message goes out to every store. Someone has ordered this. Which one of you's got it? here's the details, send it to them. And one of the reasons for not sending it, there's reasons like, we've lost the case. One of the reasons is it has a reprinted case. So, so say, for example, you've got 2 stores, both of them have the game, and they're saying, which one of you is going to send it? Well, if one of them's got a reprinted cover and one's got an original cover, it's up to the one with the original cover to send it out. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And, there's so many cases of people who've received reprinted covers in the post, because their line is, again, they've stopped using it, but this is how long it's gone on for. They did used to use this line, is that they would reserve it only for people buying in store, so that you could see what you're getting. And that's fine, but it doesn't happen. And I say it's fine.
Yeah, if you think about it,
they still don't have an answer for copyright and trademark infringement. But
they've got 100 stores, haven't they? So if something comes out and some 18-year-olds told, here's a great big picking list, go around the shop and grab all of these games. I need that done ASAP because they've got to go out really quickly. And it's the end of the day. The kid wants to go home. He's not going to go double check, open every sleeve and go, oh yeah, actually this is a CEX one. He's not going to do that. It's whatever the first one he comes across is going to be the one that's sent out.
I can't stress it enough. I've stressed it in all my videos. I do not blame the staff at all. This is a CEX corporate problem, and they need to deal with it. And stop making their social media manager talk to me, because he's just copying and pasting stuff that he's been told to copy and paste. Stop making the the people behind the counter have to deal with angry customers. Someone needs to talk to me, to Watchdog, to the press. Just even you don't even need to talk to anyone. Just make a public statement. But they don't.
Yeah.
And that's and this is the problem. I don't want stores to close, not only because I like CEX. I don't want people to lose their jobs. And the problem is that if the policy is illegal, and these franchise stores are being told to just stick to the policy, and they are, they're using the print center, they're being charged for it, they're doing everything that they're told CEX corporate has looked into, and it's all fine, and then it turns out it's not fine, and CEX gets fined so much money, or they have to close franchise stores. People are losing their jobs at that point, and people will come on to me in the comment section and go, "Oh, you're just a game snob. You're just a collector. That it's not the problem. It's you're just doing this for attention to make money on you." But not only for the fact that my channel until last week was unmonetized, so all of these videos I haven't had any advert revenue on them at all. I want to make sure that those employees keep their jobs. I want to make sure that CEX stays on the high street. I want to make sure that people, gamers, be it collectors or just that want to play, can go into them and get these games in decent quality for a decent price. And right now, employees are at risk, and the customers are being cheated, and that's what needs to change. And I'm not doing it for me. I'll turn all the ads off on all my videos. I've only been monetized for a few days again. I'll turn them all off if that's what it takes. I don't care. It's not about money. I'm only making 20p on each video anyway. It's about making sure that people aren't getting ripped off and people aren't losing their jobs. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just like it's completely doing it for completely the right reasons. And let's be honest, if you wanted to make money out of a YouTube channel, you'd be doing Fortnite videos and Minecraft and all. There's far better, easier ways to do it, isn't there?
If I want to make money on YouTube, I could start doing stuff on. I could have been playing. I could have had 1 million Pokemon Go videos 2 years ago, but I didn't do that. I try and do videos that are they're gonna last the time. So if somebody wants to watch, a full playthrough of every Power Rangers game, 5 years time, that you could still watch it. Or I want to do something that makes a difference to the gaming community, and that is at the moment, it's the CEX. My channel's kind of become known for the CEX videos. Most of my videos will get a couple hundred views. The CEX videos will get 20,000.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just be known for the guy that does CEX videos. But at the end of the day, if it stops an illegal practice and saves some people getting ripped off and saves some people's jobs, then hell, make me the CEX guy. I don't care.
CEX exposed channel.
Well, if it has to come to that, then that's fine. But it's come for the CEX, stay for everything else.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Great. Well, I guess it'll be interesting to sort of keep an eye on that, and we'll see what else, how you get on with,
I don't think it's the end of the story. So.
Oh no, clearly not. I mean, you're at part 4 now, aren't you?
And part 5 is well on the way. I mean, the thing is, I only made it to be a 1-part video. I kind of wanted to make people aware of it.
Yeah.
And then that was that. And then suddenly everyone got, it was affecting a lot of people. They were getting really pissed off about it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's down to me to keep going then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then it's just gone from there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's hope that they sort of change their ways and they stop, printing out bloody inlays and trying to make more money out of them. But we'll see.
But as I say, they exist now, and there's no getting around that. They will exactly. We will be seeing CEX printed covers for a long time, whether they stop it now or not. So again, it's something that people just need to be aware of, because you'll get people trying to take them into retro gaming stores. You'll get them trying to take them into Game, to Basio, and that's the other thing.
They're going to dissipate, aren't they? Around
what's it called? Is it Gadget or Gadset? I can't remember what it is. It's basically CEX Lite. They set themselves up quite often opposite a CEX store, or sort of on the same street, to directly compete to them. And they used to use generic covers, but specifically in the Stratford store, I don't know about other stores, but I went in whilst sort of during this investigation, I put it in one of my videos. They decided, well, you know what, CEX are doing it, so why don't we do it? And there's no as printed by Gadset thing on the inside or anything. They're just banging them out. They've stopped selling unboxed DS games. They were like, no, we got to get in on this if we're going to continue competing. Just start printing them out. Doesn't matter if they're the right color, doesn't matter if they're in black and white, just print them out and put them in a case.
Calling a domino effect, isn't it? Everybody's copycatting it. Yeah,
because no one's holding this has been going on with CEX since about 2013, I think, and no one has I just a lot of people have gone, oh yeah, CEX have been doing this for years, like that's a justification. I think it's just because they got fed up of CEX not talking to them and they gave up. Whereas me and a few others that have jumped on this since are the only ones that have stuck with it. And everyone like Gadset have just gone, well, no one's held CEX up to it, so why don't we just start doing it as well? But there are people holding them to it now, and hopefully we can stop that as well, because it's just the sheer amount of them is crazy now.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of so there's a lot more sort of CEX copycat stores and
and people are putting bigger prices on them.
Exactly.
Like I say, with it's not just with Wii Sports and things that they start charging double. They're charging full price for these games, and then you're paying full price for a boxed game, and then you don't have a boxed game. You want to get full price out of that on eBay or Game or whatever. You don't get, so you are being cheated out of money. There is no getting around that. Doesn't matter if you only care about the game and not the case. People always going, oh, it's the digital age. Who cares? It's only about the game anyway. Yeah, but that's fine. If you're okay with losing money, if you're not, in actual fact, it's worse for non-collectors. I've had loads of people going, oh, this is just a collector's issue. It's actually worse for non-collectors, because if I've actually been in a store where a kid has taken in their copy. They've bought FIFA 18 or whatever it is, played it, then they want to get the money for the next one. And they take it into a store like Game or something, and Game can't take it. And they're like, well, this kid doesn't have a job or anything. They just buy they buy and trade games with their pocket money because they love games, but they've lost out because CEX lied to them and said it's okay.
Most of the time, and even when it is a legit game, you have an argument over why they're not getting their £40 back, and all I've seen that plenty of times. But this isn't helping things either.
Yeah.
No,
if people want to call me, vain, or if it's it's just me trying to make videos for attention or whatever, I've got no time.
To be honest, I don't think anyone's saying that.
Oh, they are in the comment section. There are people, but I don't know if I don't even know if they're trolling or whether they're just.
I wouldn't be too bothered by them. You're 100% doing the right thing.
Oh yeah, we're totally with you there.
I think you said that in one of your videos. People think it's not a big deal, but it is, because you're buying something for full price, and if you buy you buy a game for £30, you take it home. It's an 8-hour cover-based shooter, which I happen to like. and then you go and go, okay, I can trade that pick in for 20. Brilliant. Okay, but you go back to the shop and you go, no, mate, this has got a fake cover. This one.
Yeah.
So,
And
you're stuck with it. So
you're also stuck in the CEX chain because the only place you can go that will is CEX, and they will pay you whatever they think is fair.
Yeah.
And not even that. Some people some stores won't even take them. I put it in one of my videos. Someone tried to go into Basio and trade a game in, and Basio wouldn't take it because it had a CEX printed cover. But the only reason they took it to Basio because they'd taken it to CEX 5 minutes earlier, and CEX didn't take it.
Stratford, yeah, they're right next to each other. Actually, you can walk from one to the other. Yeah.
What is Basio?
Basio is another one of these stores that's come out of this. The CEX. There's Gadset. I don't know why it's called Gadset instead of Gadget, but it's got like an on button as the G or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's Basio. I think there's only a couple of Basio stores. There's one in Stratford, and then there's another one. Is it Brighton or Bath or something beginning with a B? And this is where this PS4 game that was in my video was. The manager was showing me some of the stuff that came in, and he was like, "Yeah, the guy came in trying to trade it in, and I didn't take it, obviously, because it's got a CEX covered. Or I could give him the price, I could buy it off him for unboxed, and I will sell it in a Basio generic cover. But he said, the guy had literally come in because he'd gone to CEX earlier, and they wouldn't take it. He'd see if Basio would take it. I think that's how you pronounce it, Basio. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
B-A-S-E-O.
It's like literally buy and sell electronic or something. It's literally like an abbreviation, acronym thing. Yeah.
It's CEX Lite, basically. But I'm not sure if they do DVDs. I think it's more sort of games and electronics, but I don't think they do DVDs or Blu-rays.
We do retro. I did buy actually in that very Stratford one. I bought Street Fighter 2 for the SNES. It was boxed in really good nick.
Basio are good. I got I bought an 8-bit Do SNES controller from them.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've got one.
It was a good price as well. I've had no problems with Basio. They sell unboxed games. They sell games with generic covers. They're all, relatively reasonable prices. Gadgets are inconsistent. A good example is I'm a Game Boy collector, and I like to get the original inlays, and I will usually frame them because they're A4 size. I was like, oh, good, cheap A4 frames, perfect. Because like some of them you'd have like a Metroid 2 poster. Sometimes you just get a sort of marketing poster with the games that are out now. I love those kind of things, and I've got quite a few of them. There was one in the Chatham Gadset store. It was a marketing one with like here's the games that are coming soon or whatever. First of all, it was laminated, so it wasn't even like it was someone had actually taken the original thing and laminated it in plastic, and they were selling it for 50 quid. And you can literally, first of all, you can buy them for like 99p on eBay. Second of all, chances are if you buy a boxed game on eBay, even if it's like a nothing game, even if it's boxed, it's 99p. Sometimes it will have those posters in it because they're literally worthless. You're only worth 50p a pound at the very most. Somebody's selling this one that was not even in original condition. It was laminated for 50 quid. And
the only find that they tend to get expensive is when it's like a Super Nintendo, which has the now you're playing with Superpower poster in it along with the game.
No, this is literally was put in millions of Game Boy boxes. You could find them anywhere, and it was laminated, and it cost 50 quid. And even their unboxed, their unboxed DS games are way overpriced. They had, they occasionally they will have reproductions in there, but they will to their credit, they will say it's a reproduction. But the price, they sort of work off this model of if the original game was rare and expensive, then a reproduction of it is also rare and expensive, which is just rubbish. That doesn't exist. So I think it was a Pokemon Fire Red, which isn't rare, but it was, even now it's retained its value. And because it was Pokemon Fire Red, it was more expensive than anything else they had. And it's like, well, no, it's that costs a few quid to make. If you're going to sell it and say that it's reproduction, first of all, technically you're not meant to do that. But if you are going to do it, at least price it for what it is. It's not a rare game. It's not a in-demand game. It's a fake game. And if you're going to sell it as a fake game and sell it for cheap.
Yeah, you get a few they actually can be quite good reproductions when they're sold like that, although they are quite expensive. And then, like Stu, we talked about, I think it might the last episode actually, where I've been thinking about getting a reproduction of Castlevania Dracula's or Vampire's Kiss for the Super Nintendo. It's like a £400 game for a battered box and the original cart. There's people on Etsy that make really, really good high quality boxes that probably are. You might even say that the print quality is better because we have better printers now than we did in the mid-90s.
I have bought a few boxes off Etsy.
Are they good?
They're not bad. I mean, you can tell they're reproductions, but they are decent because I had.
Well, the DPI is probably a little bit lower, isn't it? So it's slightly softer kind of graphic.
You can tell they're printed, but they're decent, and a lot of the time they will have a cardboard inlay as well. Because I've got a couple of games that I want them on my shelf, but I will at some point I will find the original boxes for them because a lot of the time I will sort of have the box and the game in the manual, and I'm just searching for the box. So for like Metroid 2, I've got a reprinted box of that, which I don't keep separate from all my other Game Boy games. And Bubble Bobble Part 2 and Kirby's Dream Land 2. Although I've now got Kirby's Dream Land 2 box, so that the reproduction is gone. But I kind of bought them also because I want to do a video on them at some point because I've been burnt before. You know, I've got a Metroid Fusion box and manual, and they're fake. The manual is actually, you know, half of it is for a Power Rangers GBA game and things like that. I actually want to do a video of it, but sometimes it's actually quite hard to find fakes. I want to have enough fakes that I can show properly in the video.
There's some that are quite good as well, like the games that didn't come out. Like there's a guy that does Mega CD games that only got to the prototype phase, like Super Strike Trilogy. The Desert Strike, which was supposed to be a collection of all the Mega Drive Strike games, Desert Strike, Jungle Strike. And it got to be, it was 99% complete. For some reason, EA abandoned it, but the ISO got leaked, and this guy got on his site URL. But he makes like really awesome looking boxes for that game that have the exact same artwork it would have had if it did come out for the Mega Drive.
Star Fox 2 is one. Obviously, it's less so now that.
That's a good one.
But that was the one that everybody looked at as kind of, you know, it's not legal, as it were, but Nintendo were never going to do anything with it, and then Nintendo did. It was like, oh, okay, but I don't think they're bothered about any of the reproductions that exist out there because, you know, if you want the proper Star Fox 2, get a SNES Classic.
It's always kind of better now, isn't it? Because obviously the people use the artwork from the SNES Classic now, don't they, to kind of make a box, whereas it was kind of guesswork, wasn't it, with the older ones?
Yeah. And you know, I've done a video from Level Up Games in Canterbury. And,
I know those guys; they're good.
Yeah, they don't buy fakes in, but a lot of the time what happens is somebody will just they will literally bring in a box of stuff that was in their loft, and just what will you give me for it, and they'll say a price, and then within that they'll find some reproductions in there, and generally sometimes they don't sell them, sometimes they'll go, well, we might sell them, but we'll label them as reproductions. And then although sometimes they will just go, look, you know, if there's a collector out there that wants them for a specific purpose. So, for example, you know, if I want to do a video on fakes, he might keep a couple aside for me because I specifically want those. Because, you know, say for example, I don't buy Game Boy Advance games off eBay anymore because I got a Kirby, Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland, which was fake, and I was going to return it, but then I was like, actually, you know what, I'm going to keep it for this video. But yeah, you know, occasionally they'll get fakes in, but they always sort of, a lot of the time they don't buy them in specifically, they just sort of end up with them. And when they do have them, they always sort of try and handle them responsibly.
Some of them are a lot more easy to spot as well, like Mega Drive Konami games. Normally the cartridge itself has the Konami logo molded onto the cart, and the actual box has the Konami logo molded onto it. So that's one you can't really get away with. Like on the Mega Drive group that I run on Facebook, people will often put a Konami game up on that, and I sort of say to them, well, you need to take a picture of the Konami logo on the cartridge. A lot of people are confused, like, oh, really, why? And I was like, well, because Konami games are special, and they have, like, sort of Sega gave them cartridges that had their logo molded onto it. So, yeah, a lot of people didn't know this, you know. Understandably, it's not something you would really know.
I mean, to be honest, you could do a whole video or a whole podcast just on sort of the ins and outs of, you know, fake or reproduction games, and sort of the sort of legality and the ethics of it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And because it all comes into not just repros but also sort of hacks and homebrews and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, the collecting can get a bit silly, which is kind of why these things exist. I mean, like we talked last time about people that go crazy over the Ninja Turtles NES bundle, and you're literally people will pay like 200 quid for that. What is essentially just a sleeve that went over the regular NES box. You're not getting the console is the same console. The inner box is the same regular control deck graphic box. You're just paying for a sleeve that has the turtles on it, and it's like, really?
Actually, this goes back to when I was working with Sega, because you know, hacks are things that most companies don't really care about. You know, because first of all, most of the time it's people doing it for their own entertainment, which they're allowed to do legally. There's nothing wrong with that. And secondly, even if they are selling it as a reproduction, they're usually selling it for parts, so that they don't really care. But when I was at Sega, we released the Sega Mega Drive Classics on Steam. It was basically all it was a hub. So when you had games on Steam previously, you had to you just go into it like it was any other game. But we released this hub where it's styled like a kid's.
Oh yeah.
And everyone got the press wrong. You know, we were on Lad Bible and all these things saying, "Oh, Sega are releasing hundreds of Mega Drive games for free." It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're releasing the hub for free. You start to buy the games. It's just that now it looks we've done some nice animations of the game coming off the shelf and popping in a console.
It's been done before. I mean, Capcom did Capcom Arcade Cabinet on the Xbox 360. No, it was a free app, and you actually bought the games when you were in it. But it's a nice little UI to sort of use. Yeah.
But that actually had Steam Workshop available for it, so you'd end up with all these ROM hacks sort of coming through, and obviously some of them had to be taken down because they were sort of infringing on copyright. Sort of one
Street
of the
Fighter put into Streets of Rage and all that.
Yeah, and you end up with Kirby and Sonic, and some of those had to be taken down. But those that didn't use anybody else's assets, that if people just wanted to take a celebrity, a YouTuber or a celebrity or whatever, and put it in, as long as that celebrity didn't mind having their likeness put into this thing, it kind of legitimized ROM hacks, because it's kind of like, well, here's the Mega Drive games, here's Steam Workshop, go at it. And
I mean, there's no reason why people do it for Skyrim. Why can't they do it for old games?
And obviously, if Kirby in Sonic appears, if Nintendo want to remove that, Sega's legal team was set up ready for it. They're like, as soon as Nintendo say it needs to come down, we'll take it down. But anyone, but we don't want to restrict people, having fun with these games from the 80s and 90s. Here's the ROMs, here's Workshop, go at it, and we'll take down anything that needs to be taken down. But everything else, use your imagination.
I actually played that amazing Sonic 2 HD on the PC the other day, where this dude has just recreated, I think, a team of people, much like Sonic Mania and the recent sort of Christian Whitehead Sonic games. It's not him at all. They've recreated, I think it's only the first 2 stages of Sonic 2, but it looks friggin' amazing. Everything has been redrawn from scratch to 1080p HD. Well,
you can guarantee within a year or two, if not already, Sega will be talking about doing a deal, because that's what Sega tends to do. They don't. If somebody takes their IP and does something cool with it, Sega will usually employ them or buy it off them. Unlike
like Christian Whitehead,
unlike who ended up doing Sonic Mania, and the mobile ports. Unlike Nintendo, that if somebody does something cool, they'll just take it down. Pokemon, was it Pokemon Uranium, or
someone was making Super Mario 64, they were remaking it, and they just killed that.
Someone did Zelda Breath of the Wild NES ROM. But he did Zelda in like a Minecraft style thing. All these really cool things that only do Nintendo service.
It's free advertising almost.
It free marketing, pushes their virtual console. But they just take it down. Whereas that was one cool thing about Sega. If somebody did something cool with Sega's IPs, Sega would usually pay them or employ them.
Yeah, check that out. Sonic 2 HD. It's free. I think it's only the first 2 stages, but it looks absolutely stunning. It looks like I'm not even sure Sega will be able to make something that looks as good as that. But chances are they'll get the guys to work for them anyway.
Sega will not care. They will not care that somebody's done that, because it will sell if somebody plays Sonic 2 HD, and then they'd release the Mega Drive collection on PS4. Another Mega Drive collection. If somebody likes that, they're going to buy the PS4 game. So they're like, yeah, more power to them. Do mods, do hacks, do homebrews, do whatever. And if it's good enough, we'll usually hire you. If it's not good enough, it doesn't really matter because it's still advertising for our retro stuff, which is still a pillar. Sega works off a pillar system. So you've got like Searchlight, which is what I was, which had all the sort of smaller titles like Motorsport Manager and I can't remember the name of it. I wasn't there when they made Tembo. I think it was Tembo the Badass Elephant or something. It didn't do very well.
Oh, I think what you mean. Yeah.
And then there's Creative Assembly with their sort of their Total War games, and also they had Alien Isolation and all those.
Amazing game.
Then there's the Dawn of War side, and then the Sonic team and Sonic, but. The retro side isn't actually a pillar. That kind of sits in Searchlight. Only Sonic Team is their pillar, but Searchlight's kind of like the up and coming thing. So they're always looking for stuff to do, and sometimes it's born out of the retro stuff.
Yeah, well, it's how it should be, really. But yeah, wow. I think we're going to end up being an extra long bonus super episode there.
Yeah, your videos, your podcasts are usually about an hour, aren't they?
We're normally about an hour, yeah. But hey,
once I get going, it's hard to shut me up.
That's good. That's what we want. As the conversation's going well, we're not gonna stop it. We want to keep it going. But yeah, I'm sure we have family to get back to now. So
it's pitch black. I forgot to turn a light on before we started this. It's now
pitch black.
I'm sat surrounded by videos in the pitch black and sort of archetypal nerd, but okay.
Glowing of the monitor screen in front of your face. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Well, thanks for coming on, Matt. We really appreciate you joining us today. Check out Matt's channel. It is just Pomelo Pictures, isn't it, on YouTube? Have you got a Twitter or Facebook as well?
Yeah, I don't do Facebook anymore because I just wasn't using it enough. On Twitter, I'm at Pomelo Fish. And you can also on Instagram, it's at PomeloFish_Matt because there already existed a Pomelo Fish, believe it or not.
I've just done a tweet saying just doing a great interview with at Pomelo Fish.
Yeah,
it'll be on YouTube and podcast services tomorrow.
There we go.
Actually, I've just seen. Is that? Yeah, that's you. Just seen the notification there, and I will take that. Yeah.
Feel free to follow us.
Cool. Do I not follow you? I should.
I don't know. We've only got 4 followers, so it'll be easy to check.
No, you have 5, because I've just done it.
Oh, there you go. Trevor, are you going to follow Console Shock yet?
Oh no, I think they're rubbish.
I keep on telling you.
He's going on about his bloody shop all the time. I'm not going there. I'd rather go to CEX.
Oh.
The CEX printed covers are way better than the Playnation ones.
That's true.
Damn, sorry, Stu. He doesn't print covers, okay? I made that up. He draws them by hand.
We've done that in the past.
Yeah, far more convincing and special. So yeah, beautiful works of art they are. But yeah, see, Stu's FIFA covers are way better than the real EA ones. You just put your face, don't you? Put your own face on like Messi's body and stuff.
We do go around and put stickers over Kevin Spacey's face on Call of Duty.
Well, he deserves that, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, douchebag. It's a shame, because I like that Call of Duty then, but I can't play anymore, can we? Anyway, so where can you find us, Stu?
Right, we're on consoleshock.net is the website. On YouTube, search Console Shock. On iTunes or Stitcher, if you search Console Shock. And I think I mentioned it about 3 times. You can find us on Twitter at Console Shock UK, or just type in Console Shock UK, not the other Console Shock. And they started in 2011, so before us, and they've got 1 follower and they've done 1 tweet.
Oh dear.
So we should have that name. But anyway,
yeah. Right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Cheers. See ya.